contract negotiations with the Buccaneers, and it seems like, to me at least, hearing from Baker, that they're not even close to where Baker and his camp want to be.
It seems that way, or that's exactly what he said, pretty much.
Exactly what he's letting us know. But how deep is it? Is this just kind of a conversation that we hear sometimes from players of the way, the way they speak? It's kind of a political talk of, hey, we're going to wait until the season starts. I don't know about this.
A lot of times, though, guys will say, like, hey, that's my agent's working on that. I let him do that. Like, he didn't go there. I was kind of surprised, honestly.
Here's Baker.
Contract stuff it's happening, it's starting, the talks and whatnot, but not anywhere close to what we were thinking. So would love to be here long term, and as of right now, that's not exactly the case. But I'm under contract for 2026, and the guys in that locker room, the staff know that I'm still gonna be me. I'm still gonna do everything I can to help this team win a Super Bowl.
And there was a political talk where it's like, hey, they know I'm still going to be me. And I believe that. Yeah. And there's some people where I go, well, they're not going to be themselves. They want that money. And by the way, if that's the guy that we're talking about, you don't want that guy. That's not Baker. I truly believe when everything starts here, he will let the agent, he'll let all that stuff away from football take care of itself without him truly letting it distract him.
Well, it sounds like they're not going to even do negotiate. Like, they won't negotiate once that starts. So, his agent or him is the way he's making it sound. But
we hear that hard line, and then sometimes it doesn't always go. That line's not always as hard as they make it out to be.
It's tough, though, to say that definitively and then go back and start negotiating. Maybe like, well, I know I said that, but I didn't really mean that. But first of all, I believe Baker that he's willing to wait if they don't get it done in time. And if I'm Jason Light and the Bucs, and we've had this conversation, I would make him wait. I would make him earn the bigger contract. And you know what? If he has a massive year, I know our guy Chris Mathis this weekend was predicting a huge year for Baker Mayfield this year. And if he has it, he's going to earn himself more money than he would right now. And if I'm the Bucs and I'm Jason Light, I'm willing to take that risk because I've seen enough inconsistency through 3 years that I want to see it before I ink him to a major long-term deal.
Does it make you nervous? We just heard the comments from Baker Mayfield, and they're going to wait, and they're not. It seems like they are not close on the numbers, and there's a hard line in the sand on when they're going to stop that negotiating and when Baker's just going to start focusing on the season. This is, for a lot of people, this can be concerning. For Bucs fans, for you, how do you feel? 888-388-0957. 82945, start your text with DAE. I feel fine about it because Baker is the perfect type of guy. You can tell he loves his city. I think if things are going well and that contract goes up and that number goes up, I think the Bucs, if he's good enough, they'll pay him the money to do it. And I think for Baker, he wants to win. He wants to be a part of a fun winning culture, and the business side will take care of it eventually. But I think Baker, when it comes down to it, all he wants to do is go out there and perform, not just for a contract, but really for the people around him.
What I find most interesting about it is just him saying that they're not that close, because I think for a lot of Bucs fans, and we've kind of heard this talk over the years, and when we've had this conversation about when do you pay him and how well do you pay him, I've seen it from a lot of Bucs fans because we know, like you just said, that he loves it here. Because we know he loves being a Buccaneer. I think there's some assumption from some Buccaneer fans that it's just going to be very easy to get done. Like, it's not a quarterback probably on his last opportunity to make major money. Like, this is probably his last best chance to get a massive life-changing contract. And I'm sure his agent's telling him that. And I think there's been a lot of Bucs fans that just assumed that he would take a very team-friendly deal, that just assumed that he would be willing to make concessions because he wants to be here for the rest of his career, or at least the rest of the best part of his career. Like, I think that the people think he wants to be here bad enough that he'll take less to do so.
It's a dangerous thought process.
It is a dangerous thought process. And I also, for me, I think he's at a point where this is his, and it's not his last chance. He's not that old. His last best chance for a huge long-term contract.
He makes right now, he could make $33 million up to, he's due $27 million in cash, about $5 million available in incentives.
Which is chicken scratch for a quarterback in 2026, by the way.
Nothing. It's nothing. I mean, think about it. The Packers, Jordan Love, $55 million a year. More than $20 million more than Baker. Jared Goff, $53. How about this? The Dolphins last year, $53 million to Tua Tagovailoa. He's now in the division with the Falcons, and we don't even know if he's going to be the starting quarterback. The numbers are insane, so I can understand why from Mayfield's camp, he's looking and going, they paid Tua. Jordan Love's getting paid. Who do you think I am?
Yeah.
You are. I am.
And I'll tell you, I hope there's not a lot of Buccaneer fans like this person on the text line who says Manning will be cheap for half a decade.
So tank this year and then have the horrible year, and you got to get the number one pick?
Yeah, first of all, even if Baker goes down week 1 for the season, I will tell you I don't think the Bucs are bad enough to get the first pick in the draft. Like, I just don't think so. I mean, it might be close if they lost Baker in week 1, but, like, that's not going to happen, right? This team is too good to be talking about freaking Arch Manning. No, thank you. Like, what a dumb take.
Aaron, you mentioned Tua, and I talked about this on Saturday with Chris Mathis for a little bit. I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Jeff Hafley goes down to Miami, and then they sign Malik Willis, or not Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Is it Malik Willis? So Malik Willis, they have all that dead cap hit of Tua Tagovailoa. I'm curious, and this was something me and Mathis talked about, do you think there's a hesitation to sign Baker, not because of who they think or don't think Baker is, but because maybe, just maybe, Todd Bowles won't be here next year, and if a new coach is coming in, maybe he doesn't think Baker is his guy, so they're waiting for that reason. I thought it was an interesting take.
I think it's totally fair.
It is a good take. It's something that I didn't think that far in advance, because I'm somebody who said, we all know Todd Bowles is on the hot seat.
We've talked about that on this show. We've talked about exactly that on this show.
About Todd Bowles?
About the fact that if the Bucs do not succeed this year, it could be both of them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I don't know if that is a different point in a way than the Bucs holding off specifically to see what happens and unfolds more so for a Todd Bowles situation. And here's where I would hope that's not the case. If that is the case, Todd Bowles should not be here now. Like, if you are that uncertain on Todd Bowles, where you're like, hey, we got to see about our future quarterback because of our head coach now, that's a bigger problem within itself.
Well, I agree with that. And I don't think that's the way you make the move. I think if it's both of them, it's because both of them have shown you that they're not the guy.
Yeah, like if Baker succeeds and Todd Bowles has got to go, and like you got to figure out, hey, will your next coach be able to coach Baker? No. If Baker's the guy, you bring in that next coach and you say you're going to work it out with Baker. This will be your guy.
If they're 7-10 this year, right? And at the end of the year, you're like, yeah, Todd Bowles isn't the guy. But also at the end of the year, let's say the offensive line stays healthy and plays well, but Baker looks like he did in year 1 and year 3, which is like so-so. You could see a world where they move on from both of them. I doubt it, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Former Buccaneers quarterback, Buccaneers Super Bowl winning quarterback Brad Johnson, he actually commented on Baker and the contract situation. Here's Brad Johnson.
Baker's found a home. You feel like him finally, what he went through in Cleveland and Carolina and the Rams, and kind of working his way into replacing Tom Brady and what he's accomplished over the last few years. It's been fun to watch, but you are trying to secure it, and so that's when your agent is talking to Jason Light every few days, or sometimes they're not answering the phone. And then Baker, I'm sure he's talking to his agent probably every day, about those kind of things. And it can become a distraction for the player, whether he admits it or not. It can become a distraction for the team.
That was Brad Johnson on Rock Riley filling in for T-Kraz last week, right here on WDAE. That was, I agree with Brad. It can be a distraction. For Baker, I'll say it again, if there's anybody who I think can push it aside, it's Baker Mayfield. And if Baker pushes it aside, it no longer should be a distraction for anybody that matters. And when I say matters, I mean on the football field, that when we're talking about playing football games, will it impact those guys? It better not, and I don't think it will. And it starts with Baker, and I don't think it impacts Baker.
If it's going to be a distraction, it's going to be a distraction during the week. On Sunday, guys are so focused on the game. Unless you're a lunatic like Antonio Brown, who spent the entire week spiraling because you weren't touching the football in practice, and then you get to the game and you want to spiral some more. Like, the lunatics are always going to be lunatics.
And Levante David, I believe it was Levante, recently told that story.
Yeah, but regardless, most guys, I think, can very easily push this stuff to the side. I have zero concern when it comes to Baker Mayfield. And I'm not saying Brad's wrong. Brad's been in NFL locker rooms, and I have not, okay? So he's certainly got a lot more experience with this stuff than I do. But for me, I have zero concern about how this impacts Baker Mayfield during the season if they don't get it done ahead of time. As a matter of fact, if anything, it might put a chip on his shoulder, which I feel like is good for this kid. So I'm not like the last thing I'm worried about when it comes to Baker Mayfield's contract is if it's a distraction come regular season. I, for me, cannot assume that it's going to or even believe that it's going to.
82945, start your text with DAE like this one. Overpaying an average Baker is smart, ? That's a dumb take. I think you're going to have to overpay no matter what when it comes to the quarterback. So you have to decide, is Baker good enough? Is he that type of elite quarterback that you can overpay him a little bit and be able to still fill in the gap and fill in the pieces? For me, even Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter how good you are as a quarterback. If you take too much money and you can't fill out the rest of the team, you're not going to be able to win it all every single year. That's why the NFL is so tough to see repeats, because you lose guys every year. You win a championship, that Super Bowl champion player becomes much more valuable to other teams that need those players. So that's why you see guys leave all the time.
It's nearly impossible. The reason, and a lot of people overlook this all the time, the reason why Tom Brady won so many Super Bowls in New England, and they were right there year in and year out, was Tom Brady took less all the time. Tom Brady said, I'll make a lot of money, but I'll make enough money that I can have some good teammates as well. And that's why that Patriots roster was as stacked as often as it was. That dude took team-friendly deal after team-friendly deal. It just doesn't happen all that often in the NFL. To your point, you saw what the Kansas City Chiefs looked like last year. Patrick Mahomes eating up a huge chunk of the cap, even though they maneuvered money around, and they're going to do it again. He eats a huge part of the cap. To me, the overpaying conversation is it's always what does overpaying mean, right? Because it means what you said, right? Where you take up such a large part of the cap that you can't pay other guys that you want to pay. But at the end of the day, it's the conversation we have every time a guy gets paid. Well, he doesn't deserve to be the top paid guy, or he doesn't deserve this amount of money. But it's the system. It's the guys are. It's not slotted, but you kind of have an idea of what top guys are going to make based on what the other top guys at that position are going to make. And it's few and far in between that you find a Tom Brady that puts winning ahead of making generational wealth.
And here, if you missed it, we're going to play the Baker Mayfield comments again. This is Baker on the contract situations and the negotiations right now.
Contract stuff it's happening. It's starting the talks and whatnot, but not anywhere close to what we were thinking. So would love to be here long term, and as of right now, that's not exactly the case. But I'm under contract for 2026, and the guys in that locker room, the staff know that I'm still gonna be me. I'm still gonna do everything I can to help this team win a Super Bowl.
And that's where I don't think it's going to be a distraction when it comes to Baker Mayfield. But if they're not close on it, it means Baker wants the money. His agent wants the money. They're not close, which tells me that you are going to have to give Baker a large sum of money. So to the points of you and to people that think, hey, Baker, 1-year deal, see it through, the difference in that pay might not be that much, considering Baker clearly, it seems like, wants a lot of money right now anyway. And to your point, and Sam got my ear, and he's absolutely right. I was thinking about this earlier when it comes to a guy in another sport, and I think baseball, you can take the conversation out. If you have a rich owner, you can spend as much as you want. It doesn't take away from the other players. But look at basketball. Sometimes the guys play well. They become great players. They make max money. You can't, in a salary cap league, be able to sign all your guys. Look at the Knicks right now. Everyone's like, this is a team. They move the ball. Everyone's working together. Well, who's their best player? It's Jalen Brunson. Jalen took a significant cut. He could have made over, I believe, $120 million, something around that, more dollars in his contract. Didn't take it, so the guys around him could be better. Now, that level of selflessness, I'm not going to ask a lot of guys to do that.
Can you just imagine for a second the ability to leave $120 million on the table?
Which basically was half. He left half.
I don't know. I don't really need that $120 million. Let that go to my teammates.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
That's ridiculous.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, the cynics will say that he's making that elsewhere in New York City. I don't care what the cynics say. He could have made that money in his contract and made that side money with that. He decided to take that cut to build the team around him. So guys like Karl Anthony Towns, so guys can be a part of that team. And the point I'm trying to make is not to talk about the Knicks too much. The point I'm trying to make is that there are guys that have this selflessness when it comes to not only on the field with their teammates, but when it comes to money. And that is a small percentage. I would say that's probably the 1%ers.
Think about it for a second. I brought up Tom Brady. You had to go to a different sport.
Yeah.
You had to go to a different sport. We couldn't even think of another NFL guy that's done that so dramatically that we know about it.
And I was thinking Jalen Brunson. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to bring it up. I'll just go back to the audio. Like it's a Nick. And then Sam got in my ear, and I was like, you know what? I'll bring it up. Whatever.
Didn't Randy Moss take a pay cut way back when?
I'd have to look
to
it
go
up.
to New England?
Maybe.
I could be making that up. I feel like I remember that.
I already lose respect for him because he didn't always try hard, though, so it's different.
Randy Moss this is according to the internets. Randy Moss voluntarily tore up a $20 million contract with the Oakland Raiders to sign with the New England Patriots, taking a $16 million pay cut. I feel like you don't say that out loud if you didn't look that up, Sam.
No, I was looking up guys that had made less, and there was like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, which nobody knows that. And then was it that fishing show that Randy Moss has? He does like a podcast, and I feel like I remember somebody asking him about it.
There's once we got asked to do an interview with a guy named Randy Moss. I believe it was about horses.
Oh, you don't know? Yeah. From ESPN. And he did NFL Network stuff too.
Remember the first time that we had him on, we're like, wait, is that the Randy Moss? And then we found out ahead of time before we did the interview that it wasn't the Randy Moss.
And it was the other Randy Moss is
and
what
then
it was.
Not long after, I think it was a radio station in New York, they didn't do the research ahead of time. They had him on.
Right.
And they didn't realize that it wasn't Randy Moss. That's so good.
Randy was around for a while. I don't know where he is now, but I feel like I was seeing Randy on TV a good amount. And then Randy got on TV, and they were like, well, we don't need the other Randy anymore. We got enough Randy Mosses around here now, pal.
There's only enough room for one Randy Moss. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Baker Mayfield, but